All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about a problem that, let's be honest, is a total nightmare for farmers, protecting your crops. But we're not talking about old-school scarecrows. No, we are digging into a whole new kind of warfare, a psychological battle plan designed to truly outsmart wildlife. Let's get to it.
You know, for anyone who's ever put their heart and soul into the land, this quote it hits you right in the chest. It perfectly captures that awful, sinking feeling of waking up to find months of your hard work just gone, wiped out overnight. And that feeling of helplessness, that's exactly what we're going to fight back against today.
So if you're one of the many people who spent nights worrying about Nilgai, wild boars, or monkeys getting into your fields, well, you are in exactly the right place. Think of this as your new game plan for getting some peace of mind back.
Okay, before we jump into the solutions, we really have to understand the stakes. Let's paint a picture of that scene that has become way too common for so many farmers.
This is it, right? You get to your field at sunrise, expecting to see your crops thriving, and instead, you find complete devastation. We're talking broken plants, trampled ground. It's a disaster. And it's not just about the money you've lost. It feels personal. It's a tough reminder that the old ways of doing things just aren't working anymore.
So let's ask the big question. Why do those scarecrows and noisemakers seem to work for a little while and then just stop? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, and it shows just how incredibly smart these animals have become.
It really all boils down to one word: habituation. See, animals like Neelgai, boars, and monkeys, they're not dumb. They're smart survivors. They figure out pretty quickly that a scarecrow never moves, or that a can makes the same noise over and over. They learn it's not a real threat, and they start to ignore it. They adapt. So our strategy has to adapt too.
And this is where it gets really interesting. We're going to flip the script. We're moving away from a physical defense and diving into a psychological one. It's time to stop just trying to block animals and start actively outsmarting them.
This chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? The old fight was physical. This new war is all in their heads. Instead of predictable things like scarecrows, we're going to target their most powerful senses. We're ditching the stuff they can learn to ignore and replacing it with tactics that create genuine fear and, most importantly, uncertainty. That's what makes them turn around and leave on their own.
So how exactly do we pull this off? Well, let's start building our arsenal. We're about to arm you with some really powerful, super low-cost weapons that go after two of the biggest weaknesses wild animals have: their incredible sense of smell and their deep, primal fear.
Okay, weapon number one. This is a potent, totally organic repellent that targets the super sensitive noses of animals like Nilgai and wild boar. See, they absolutely hate the smell of decay. To them, it screams danger, and we can use that instinct against them.
And the best part, you don't need some fancy lab to make it. All you need are simple things: water, some organic waste, neem oil, and garlic paste. With these, you can brew up an incredibly powerful and completely natural deterrent that animals will not want to get near.
And making it is just as simple. You just let that waste ferment for a few days to get that really strong stench going, mix in the pungent neem and garlic, and then you're ready to spray. Now the key here is that you're not spraying your whole field. You're just creating a boundary, a kind of no-go zone around the edges that animals will refuse to cross.
All right, now for a method that costs literally nothing, but taps into an animal's absolute deepest fear. I mean, what do most wild animals fear more than anything else? Us, humans. And we can use that fear to our advantage, even when we're sound asleep.
I know, it sounds a little weird, but this is pure psychology. Human hair holds onto our scent for a really long time. So when a wild boar, an animal that digs for its food, starts rooting around and uncovers one of these bags, that human smell triggers an immediate panic response. It thinks a person is hiding right there, and it takes off. It's so simple, it's free, and believe me, it is incredibly effective.
But what about monkeys? They're a whole different ballgame, right? They often come from above, they're clever. For them, we need to attack their sense of taste and use their excellent memory and their eyesight against them.
So this formula, it creates an unforgettable, and I mean a deeply unpleasant taste. The extreme bitterness from the datura and neem, plus that heat from the chili, gives any monkey who dares to take a bite a shock it will not forget. And here's the thing about monkeys, they have fantastic memories. One bad experience is usually all it takes to make them decide your farm is permanently off limits. And those red cloths, they just add a visual warning sign that they're already naturally suspicious of.
Let's bring in a little bit of simple tech to stand guard while you sleep.
Now, the key here isn't just using light and sound. The secret is using unpredictable light and sound.
See, this all goes back to avoiding that habituation problem. A light that blinks in the same rhythm every night eventually becomes familiar background noise. But a light that blinks randomly, that mimics the eyes of a predator lurking in the dark. A homemade sound maker that clangs differently with every little gust of wind creates constant uncertainty. It's this randomness that keeps animals on edge and far away from your crops.
Okay, all of these weapons we've talked about are powerful on their own, no doubt about it. But there is one master strategy, one secret weapon that ties every single one of them together and makes them 10 times more effective.
And that secret weapon is rotation. It's so simple. Just like farmers rotate crops to keep the soil healthy, you have to rotate your deterrents to keep the animals guessing. If you use the same smell all season, they will eventually get used to it. The real key to long-term success is constant, unpredictable change. You can think of it as a kind of integrated animal management.
So here's what that might actually look like in practice. For the first couple of weeks, you use the smell repellents. Then, you switch completely. Take those down and put up the lights and sounds. After that, you switch again and use the human hair method. By constantly changing your tactics, you create this environment of total confusion. The animals never know what to expect, and that is what will keep them away for good.
So now you have your arsenal, and you have your master strategy. Let's finish up by talking about how to build a long-term permanent defense system for your farm, a fortress.
These two steps right here are your foundation. First up, farm hygiene. Wild boars and Nilgai love, and I mean love, to hide in those overgrown bushes along the edge of a field. By clearing those areas, you take away their hiding spots, and it makes them feel exposed and vulnerable. Second, biofencing. Planting a living wall of thorny plants is a one-time effort that creates a permanent, natural, and pretty much impenetrable barrier.
So, there you have it. The power is officially back in your hands. You've got the science, you've got the tactics, and you've got the strategy to turn your farm into a fortress. It's time to move past the fear and the frustration and start outsmarting the wildlife. Really, the only question left is, which one are you gonna start with?